Oh, this window. It's been such a tough challenge trying to figure out what kind of drapery would fit in this area. Being an 1800s home, we had to come up with something that would fit the skinny little area next to the wall. So after scouring Pinterest and lots of blogs, we finally found something that would work. It's a DIY curtain rod that's made with a simple wooden dowel and some leather and some screw end caps. So here's how you put it together.
Hi, I'm Carolyn's husband, Tommy, and stop doing that.
What am I doing? Okay.
Hi, I'm Carolyn's husband, Tommy, and for step one of this project, what we need to do is measure the dowel, make sure we cut it right. This is a 1.5 inch dowel that we bought at Home Depot. I think it was about $8, something like that. And we're just gonna measure it and see how long we need it to be. We're gonna leave it natural. You can stain it if you want to, polyurethane it, whatever you wanted to do to it. We're just gonna leave it natural. It's pretty smooth already, so we're just gonna take some sandpaper and just sand the ends down a little bit. That's about it. Okay, so to make sure we get it even, we're going to measure, or we're just gonna make a little mark about where it sits on this side, so that we can measure on the other side and make it even. We're gonna cut this using this table saw. You can use a jigsaw or whatever else you need to use, hand saw. But we have this table saw already, so we're gonna use it. And we're just gonna make sure we line it up and just cut it right along the line. So, okay. So now that that's cut, we're going to actually take some sandpaper and just kind of sand the ends a little bit just to wear down any loose edges. I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper. Then I'm gonna go over it with a little bit higher grit. I think I've got some 150 grit, and we're just gonna use that. This is just some old sanding pads I had around anyway, so we're just gonna use those. Now we're going to use 150 grit sandpaper, just kind of go over the edges, just to make it even finer. Then we're going to go down and just sand off any other little high places on the rod here. The best way is just to feel for any high spots or anything that might snag your curtains. Like there's one little spot here that would snag a curtain, so we're going to see that too.
Now we're going to cut the leather straps, which will hang the rod. This is a leather square 2mm thick leather piece, 10 by 10 inch that I ordered from Amazon. We're going to flip it to the back side and measure out. I'm going to do 1 inch. I'm using a fabric marking pencil to do this. Now that I have my marks, I'm gonna turn it and measure, which this ruler itself, this yardstick, is about 1 inch. So actually it would be fine probably if I just traced that. Now that we have that line drawn, I'm gonna take a pair of sharp scissors and cut. You can use a rotary tool to do that, but I do not have a rotary tool. So I'm gonna do the best I can with these sharp scissors. So there is strap 1. Now I'm gonna do this a second time.
Now we are going to drill our hole for our screw. So we're going to line it up on the yardstick. We know we want it about at the 1/2 inch line. So we're going to drill our hole down about where we want the screw. We're also going to drill it over this scrap piece of wood, just to keep it from going into our tablecloth or to keep it from going into our finger too. And there we go. You could also do this with a leather hole punch, but we don't have one readily available to us, so we're just using a drill and a bit. We also bought these screw end caps to go over the end of the screw, just to dress it up a little bit so you don't see the end of the screw. We bought these off Amazon. They also came with some screws, but the screws are gonna be way too short to go into the drywall. And we're gonna try to use these trim screws. We'll have to see once we start drilling if they'll go into a stud or not. If they don't go into a stud, you will need to use a drywall anchor. So here's the concept of how these things go together. They just have a little base that it's threaded, and we put the screw through there, then we put it through the hole in our leather, and then the cap just threads onto the top. The screw we're going to attempt to use for our first attempt is a wood trim screw. They have a very small head on the end. You can see that. They have a very small head on the end to fit through the gold part. So we're going to try to use those. Hopefully they'll go right into a stud or into something wood back there, and we won't need to use an anchor. So we went on and threaded it through both sides of the leather, and now we're just going to try to screw it to the wall and just kind of see what happens. So set it out.
You think it's in there good and tight?
No.
Okay. So try a different one.
Let's try it. Our first screw attempt failed. The wood trim screws kind of want to strip out real easily. So we're going to try to use the screws it came with and one of these types of drywall anchors to screw it into. They kind of go out and then they expand out inside the wall. The way these work, they just screw in and then this part expands in the wall to hold it. We'll put the anchor in first. We kind of already got a hole from the other strap attempt, so we just screw that in. So yeah, that's the problem, there's a stud back there.
Are you frustrated?
Yes.
Why are you frustrated?
Just having an old house is lots of fun, let me tell you. So the drywall mount won't work because there's a stud back there, so we had to find a different type of screw that'll go through and we can screw the screw head on. So luckily in my massive amounts of screws down there, I found some screws. Here we tried to use kept hitting the stud, so that's not going to work. So we're going to attempt with this. I don't even know what size it is. It's just a screw I had in my box downstairs, probably like a 1-inch pan head, some sort of brass screw. So we're going to try using that. So this is a little lesson in difference in houses. Everybody's house is a little different, so you may need to try different things like to put your screws in. Usually if this was just a regular newer house, it would probably just be an empty stud back there, an empty stud bay, and you just use an anchor and it's fine. But on an old house they put they put studs everywhere, so there's no telling. So we're just going to try with this one so we can get it in the stud. The good thing is it will hold our curtains very well since it should be in a stud. So now we're good to go. We just screw our screw head on for this one and we're done with this side. Now the other side might be different. We may have to use an anchor on the other side. So we'll see when we get there.
So here's how to get this little cap on. You just pop it on and then screw it. Ta-da!
Okay, so now we're going to try the other side. We kind of had to really measure so we know kind of where the strap's going to sit, because this window is kind of slanted a little bit, because everything in an old house is slanted a little bit somehow or another. This window seems to be a little more slanted than most are. So that way we can hopefully just kind of keep it kind of even with the top piece of trim. Now we're just going to screw it in and kind of see what happens. It seems to be in a stud, so I think we're in pretty good shape. We kind of pull on it and see if it moves around much, and if it's spinning still. But this one's kind of stopped, so we should be good. Now we're going to put the little cap on, and we should be good to go. So now our curtains are ready to go up. Carolyn will definitely have to steam them, but they are ready to go. These are tassel curtains that we ordered off of Amazon. They look like linen, but they're actually polyester, so they should last forever. Ta-da! Now they're all done and they're ready to go.
I absolutely love this curtain rod. We chose the right curtains because they let just enough light in. The rod is super sturdy, and I think this will last a very, very long time. My husband did a wonderful, wonderful job. If you have any questions about this project, please leave it in the comments section below. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, do so now. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!
Visit Carolyn'sBloomingCreations.com.